Many people say that the movie Influenza in 2011 is a horror film, but it was not until 9 years later that we really understood it. Although the movie was popular at the time, it did not cause much discussion. However, with the help of a very tough scientific advisory team, including top experts from the World Health Organization and the American CDC, it accurately predicted all aspects of a global pandemic, from the spread of the virus to social isolation, the spread of fake news, to the dilemma of vaccine development and distribution. Director Soderbergh used a calm and almost cruel documentary method to present the disaster of this fake purchase in front of us. Today, let's review this not-so-scientific horror film and see how a tiny virus has made the whole world stagnant in just a few months. The story began the next day at a bar in Hong Kong airport. A blonde woman named Beth was on the phone with her lover. She had just finished her business trip in Hong Kong and was about to fly back to Minnesota. On the phone, she coughed, saying that the time difference was not good and that she did not care. She hung up the phone and handed her credit card to the waiter to pay the bill. It was this unexpected action that started a global disaster. The virus was transmitted to the waiter through a credit card. As the camera turned, a young casino employee, Li Hui, felt unwell on the way home. He was in a coma and had a headache. When he returned home, he collapsed on the sofa and never got up again. In London, a model was found in a hotel room, and she had died a long time ago. At this time, Beth had returned to her family in Minneapolis. Her husband, Mitch, and her son, Clark, welcomed her warmly. The family was happy, but they did not know that death had come. At the same time, a Japanese businessman suddenly fell to the ground in a bus in Tokyo. A waiter who had previously contacted Beth's credit card was found dead on the street. On the third day, Dr. Kifu, a doctor at the CDC, went to work as usual. A cleaner in the parking lot, Roger, stopped him because he wanted to consult with the child about multiple sclerosis. Dr. Kifu was not an expert in this area, but he still agreed to help introduce the doctor. This seemingly ordinary action caused a huge stir later. And in San Francisco, a conspiracy theorist named Alan was spreading rumors about this mysterious disease on the internet. He claimed that this was a well-planned conspiracy, but could not find any actual evidence, and was driven out mercilessly by the newspaper editors. On the other hand, Mitch received a call from the school, saying that his son Clark had a fever. He rushed to the school to pick up the child, thinking it was just a common cold. On the fourth day, Beth's condition worsened. When he was preparing coffee in the kitchen, he suddenly fell to the ground, and his mouth was covered in ink. This terrifying scene was seen by young Clark. Mitch was so scared that he rushed to the hospital. However, the doctors couldn't do anything about this strange symptom. After being rescued, Beth died unfortunately. Mitch could not accept this fact. He even wanted to say goodbye to his wife's body, but the doctor told him that his wife had passed away. Due to the unknown cause of death, the doctor suggested an autopsy, hoping to find the truth. Mitch, who had lost his mind, received a phone call from his nanny on his way home. He rushed home and found that his son Clark had also died. The cause of death was exactly the same as Beth's. On the fifth day, the World Health Organization's Dr. Orlandis flew to Hong Kong to investigate the source of the epidemic. Hong Kong had already taken isolation measures, but the epidemic was still spreading. Similar death cases have appeared all over the world. The spread of the virus in London and Tokyo is expanding rapidly. In Minnesota, when the doctor was dissecting Beth's brain, he was shocked by the scene in front of him. He immediately realized that this was an unprecedented deadly virus and immediately notified everyone. The CDC sent a young female doctor, Mears, to Minnesota for an investigation. Dr. Orlandis told her that this epidemic was not a small one and that she must be fully prepared. At the same time, Mitch's eldest daughter Kelly rushed home from abroad, but could not enter because her father was quarantined. She could only use the phone and call her father through the glass. Mitch tolerated the pain and comforted his daughter, telling her that he was fine, just to prevent it. He dared not tell his daughter that he might have been infected, and he dared not tell her that he could not take care of his brother. Dr. Mears held an emergency meeting in the Minnesota Department of Health. The severity of the epidemic is far beyond imagination. He explained that the virus spreads through breathing and contact in two ways. An ordinary person touches his face unconsciously 2,000 to 3,000 times a day, which prevents the virus from spreading. He introduced a key concept, which is the basic number of infections. This number represents how many people an infected person can infect on average. An ordinary flu is 1, but a new virus is 3, and the value of R0 is still an unknown number. Once R0 is determined, it can be estimated the scale of this epidemic. But now, they don't even know what the virus itself is. In the CDC's top biosecurity lab, scientists are analyzing the virus sample. They found that this is an unprecedented virus. The human body has no immunity to it. Genetically, the origin of the virus is even more shocking. It is actually a reproduction of bat and pig virus genes. A wrong bat met a wrong pig at the wrong time and gave birth to this weird demon. The virus is attached to the human cell through a special protein, like a key that is accurately inserted into the lock hole, while attacking the respiratory system and central nervous system. What's worse is that it mutates extremely fast, with a mortality rate of up to 20%, and there is no effective treatment or vaccine. At this time, a virologist in San Francisco, Dr. Sassman, regardless of the CDC's ban, successfully cultivated the virus. This breakthrough was dangerous, but it brought hope for vaccine development. On the 7th day, the epidemic had spread all over the country. The Department of Homeland Security intervened in the investigation. They were worried that this might be a biological terrorist attack. The coming of Thanksgiving made this large-scale population movement a hotbed for virus transmission. Dr. Mills was in Minnesota tracking Base's close contacts. He found that a colleague named Alan in Base's company had picked him up at the airport. Mills immediately called Alan and found out that he was having a headache and was in a bus. He realized the seriousness of the situation and immediately ordered Alan to get off the bus and stay away from anyone. Anyone in the bus could have been infected because of this contact. Mickey's isolation period was over, but the doctor told him a shocking news. While Base was on a business trip to Hong Kong, he had stayed in Chicago and cheated on his ex-boyfriend. This news was undoubtedly a bloodbath for Mickey. On the 8th day, the number of global infections is expected to reach 260,000. Scientists predict that the virus's R0 value is 2. This means that if the virus is not controlled well, the number of infected people will increase exponentially. In Hong Kong, Dr. Orlandis and his colleague Sun Feng had a hard time restoring the virus's transmission chain. They found that Base was a critical patient. He contacted many people at the casino. These people brought the virus all over the world. At the same time, Dr. Sassman's research was suspended. But he disobeyed the order and continued the experiment in private and successfully cultivated the virus. He shared this result with Dr. Huxter at the CDC and ignited the fire of hope. However, before the good news of the vaccine came, the bad news came. Dr. Mills was unfortunately infected. He was in a temporarily built gym hospital and felt a little loss of life. He called Dr. Keefe, who was far away in Atlanta, for the last time and told him that he might not make it. Dr. Keefe was in a hurry, but was unable to do anything because of traffic delays and the collapse of the medical system. He used the relationship to get Mills back, but his request was rejected by his superiors. The reason was that resources should be prioritized for more important people. Dr. Mills wanted to hold a funeral for his wife and son, but the hospital refused to accept the bodies. They suggested a fire, but this was contrary to the tradition of the Mills family. In Hong Kong, Dr. Orlandis was kidnapped by Sun Feng and his villagers. It turned out that someone in Sun Feng's village was also infected with the virus. They detained Orlandis as a hostage and asked the World Health Organization to provide them with vaccines first. The blogger Alan used the public's panic to make a national disaster. He lied to himself that he was infected with the virus and took a herb called lianxiao. His blog instantly gained tens of millions of views. Lianxiao was also fired. Desperate people rushed into the pharmacy to buy it, causing a large-scale riot. The social order began to collapse. Shops were robbed. Robberies and violence. Mickey took his daughter to the supermarket to look for food, but found that the shelves were already empty. On the way home, they found that the state guard had blocked the road. Chicago became an isolated city. Under great pressure, Dr. Orlandis also made a fatal mistake. When he learned that Chicago was about to be closed, he secretly called his fiancée, Aubrey, and told her to leave. However, Aubrey told this news to his friend. The rumor spread and the news of the closure was leaked ahead of time, causing a greater panic. This phone call was eventually reported by Allen to the media, begging the doctor to face the serious accusation. On the 21st, the virus mutated, and the vaccine soared from 2 to 4. This means that an infected person can now infect 4 people and spread twice as fast. Scientists predict that if there is no vaccine, 1/12 of the world's population will be infected, and the number of deaths will reach an astounding 26 million. Fortunately, Dr. Orlandi's vaccine development made a breakthrough. After successfully testing the monkey, in order to save precious time, he made a bold decision to inject the vaccine into himself. Later, he went to visit his father, who was also infected with the virus. This is also a good bet for the ultimate test of vaccine effectiveness. Fortunately, he won the bet. The vaccine is effective, but new problems came with it. The vaccine production is limited. Who should be vaccinated? First, Mickey's house was also robbed. Fortunately, he survived because he was immune. Blogger Allen was arrested for spreading rumors and fraudulent securities and miscarriage of justice. But under his passionate fans' protection, he was released and continued to spread rumors on the internet. The government finally decided to distribute vaccines. The lottery is everyone's birthday. This is a game about life and death. Charlie's birthday is far behind. He needs to wait 144 days in Hong Kong, in exchange for Dr. Orlandi's. The WHO exchanged 100 vaccines. However, they broke their promise when they got the vaccine. They exchanged the real vaccine and left Dr. Orlandi's alone. But surprisingly, Orlandi's was not abandoned. His colleagues and the villagers who were helped by him exchanged the real vaccine with him. They did not forget this kind doctor. To protect his daughter, Dr. Chifu gave his vaccine to Roger, the son of the parking cleaner. He injected the comforting agent himself. He used his own weight to make up for his mistake. Finally, his daughter, Charlie, also waited for her vaccine. To celebrate this hard-won victory, Dr. Chifu held a special graduation party. Dr. Chifu watched his daughter and her boyfriend dancing in the living room. Dr. Chifu was anxious. Dr. Chifu looked at his wife's camera and recorded the last moments of his life. A photo showed the origin of the virus. In Hong Kong, a company cut down a rainforest the bats destroyed by. Dr. Chifu flew into the pigsty. The bananas he ate fell into the pigsty grass. The pig ate food containing bad virus. The 2 viruses regrouped. Then, the pig was sent to a restaurant in Macau. The chef who processed the raw pork didn't wash his hands and took a photo with the customer who came to buy it. A tiny virus started its global death journey through a seemingly harmless contact like this.